Hello everyone. So here I am again, and I hope you had enjoyed the first video about the philosophy and the allegory of the cave from Plato. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation as well. Today I will be making references of some of those famous philosophers. Today I'm gonna talk a little bit about Jean-Paul Sartre, French philosopher, but only because of one of his sentences. And I will start with this one. So he said, "What's important is not what happens to us, but how we respond to what happened to us." And this is a very, very strong sentence. And this has all to deal with how philosophers used to discuss and the conclusions that they had in the past back in Greece. So back in Greece, even though Jean-Paul, he passed away in 1980, so he is a very young, let's say, philosopher. It's not from that time. But he, with this sentence, he borrowed the same line of thoughts from the Greeks philosophers, where responsibility turns back to us rather than be put on somebody else's shoulders. So responsibility for our choices, for how we drive in our lives, and but especially on those sense of the choices that you make your life. So let's talk about transformation. Should we never give up? We heard this in this time all the time. This is something is very much from the society today. You should never give up. You should persist. You can do everything. You've got the power. And it should be really. Funnily enough, what I'm bringing here today is a very, very controversial speech, because but a very common problem if you are a psychologist or a sociologist. You will see that this is bringing a lot of problems nowadays in our society. Why? Because we are educating the young people and educate our kids, and the society is giving us feedback on this. We heard in the TV, you can do everything, you can't never give up, go ahead and try what you can. And it's not always the case. It's not always the case. It's a good thing, it's motivational, it gives you that gas, it makes you believe. But at the same time, depending on in which environment that idea is gonna use to grow, to be growing something, can be totally wrong. I'm gonna give you a very simple example, but I'm sure you can work out a much better ones, and you will see in people that you know, their situations, how that can go wrong. One of my masters gave that sample one day, and I found that is really, really fantastic. You might say, never give up, never give up. If you know someone, for example, and he really, really wants and is trying to be a singer, but he just have that as oh, I really would like to be a singer. Oh, come on, play something and sing for me to see. And he start to sing, and it's that horrendous voices, and you think, oh my God, would you come and say for that person, oh no, yeah, you've got. Some people really, really want it, but they don't have the talent. For some things that we wanted in this life, we have to have talent. We have to match our skills, to match our voices, our ways. There are things, like I'm trying to say, there are things that is a skill. You can work out and you can get better and better and better. But there are things that you can try your whole life. And I'm not joking. I had, in my times from the universe, I had this dear friend who wanted to be a singer. And he tried and tried, and he really tried. And all his friends, and he watched it. Because he wanted so much, and he was trying with all the instruments, the best instruments that he could. For example, all his setup friends, he created really an environment where he will be immersed with all the singers, all the people who plays the guitar, he had his band. He knew everyone. He opened a bar where everyone would meet and everyone will sing, and everyone will that environment could grow with a potential. But unfortunately, my friend, he wants to be a singer, not a player of any instrument, and he didn't have the main instrument, the voice. For more he worked out his voice chords and everything else, he couldn't do it because he didn't came into this world with that gift. And so unfortunately, my friend never succeeded. And it was very few friends who would keep quiet, or would, with a lot of care, come to him and say something like, oh, what, just give up on these. And I don't know, I just think, yeah, it was nice, but it wasn't that nice. Most of the friends will try to incentivize really and say, oh no, yeah, try next time, oh yeah, never give up, and this and that. So we are living nowadays in a society which tells us a lot and all the time that we should pursue our dream, that we should go ahead, we should run after, and whatever we want we can do it. And it's not truth. It might hurt, but it's not truth. It's not whatever we want we can have it. It's not and the point, and when I was trying to say that psychologists and sociologists and a lot of people who really work in that field with mental health, they are finding very hard to deal with this kind of mentality today. Why? Because they are having to deal with those people who suffer frustrations because they believe that they could have that girlfriend, that they could have that job that was that dream job, that they could have that career, and in fact life said no when they couldn't, for whatever reasons. And I'm not saying to you, not at all, that towards life we should have a passive approach. Definitely, that's one thing I will be talking some other videos, and we will be talking about what my masters call the instruments, the instruments of auto-sabotage, how we sabotage ourselves. And one of the instruments of sabotage is really the pursuit towards life. No, you do need to pursue your dreams, but you need to know yourself so well to the point that when you can't get help from the environment, you can find yourself in a position to give up because you know your personality, you know the talents that you have as a person in this world, and you know what you would like. And then you come and you say, oh, I would love to be that person, but I don't have what it takes to be. So this is really important. It's all to deal with know yourself better. Okay, but So never give up. So must we'll say, all change finds obstacles along the way, and although it is true that if we give up on our dreams right in the beginning, when we started to face the first difficulties to pursue our dreams, then we will giving up everything and never and anything else will move on. Yes, there are situations when you should give up. So what he's trying to say is, yeah, if you, when we are, we start in a path, it's normal we find difficulties, but that's not what we're trying to say in terms of giving up. It's not at this time, because in the beginning of any path, we're having difficulties, and it's obvious that if you right away you'd give up only because you're facing difficulties, it's not the right approach. Then we'll put you back in the comfort zone. You can't put any energy, you can't put any effort. What I'm trying to say that you know when to give up on things that are holding you backwards. So things which are pulling you backwards, things that you can't let go in any aspects of your life. You are trying not to let go of that situation, but that situation is already taking over so much space in your life, so much energy, so much of your attention and energy that you could be eventually be spending in something else, something more productive, something which would give you a better feedback. So these are the situations that you should be really, really careful. It's a fine line between what we call persistence, which has a very, very specific characteristic. Persistent comes from persistent. You've got courage, bravery, and commitment. That is persistent. It's three characteristics that is full of energy. So a persistent person, it needs to be putting those three elements to pursue their dreams. Okay? But giving up, okay, is only justified if it is in a clever way. I am giving up because I'm intelligent, because I am clever, because I already made that mass and I got to the conclusion that this is the point where I need to let go. Because I did put the energy that was needing. I didn't felt that back, that feedback from it. It wasn't in the beginning. I put more than enough to move there ahead and ahead and ahead. And I found that it's not working. It's where many times you see people trying to build work or business and stuff, and they are trying, and some people it just doesn't work. And I can't say, because I do not believe that, is a sign, is a destiny. No, be careful with those ideas. I'm going to get here in my book, and we're going to get to talk about this. There is no such a thing as lucky, as destiny, as a sign. No, there is no such a thing. What has is, you know yourself enough, you know your talents, you know how much energy you have yourself. Each one of us, we work with a certain levels of energy, okay? Energy, for you have focus in your life for realize what you want to realize. That's nothing is more than energy. Is energy. Focus is energy canalized for you realize your ambitions, or for you get feedback for whatever you wanted to produce. So if you are putting that energy for such a long time and you are not getting feedback in one situation, you should give up. It's a clever way to think. It's just saying, no, I should give up. Doesn't matter if it's in your relationship, if it's in your workplace, if it's in the business that you are trying to build, if it's with a family member, because it could be, if it's in your relationship with your friends. That much effort, it got to get one point that you say, I did put so much effort and the feedback was never great. Who never makes so much effort to be friend with someone? But at the end, there are people who does take all of our energy. There are people who does pull us backwards. There are people, and I'm not saying that they are bad. What I'm saying is many times as incompatibility of personality, like the last course that I done about neuroscience, I told that I explained to you how to recognize yourself, which type of personality you've got. One of the things that my master spoke to us about is there are some personalities who are incompatible between themselves, because one can be a very extrovert person. The extrovert person will feed in energy which runs of socializing, of parties, of places where they re-energize themselves because they are social beings. But one introvert, if you take that introvert guy and put in that environment of a lot of extrovert people, they will lose their energy, because that situation makes them feel what triggers on their brain. And this is science. It's not only, this is really a neuroscience. This situation will trigger in the brain of those people who are introvert places where they are discharging themselves, they spending themselves, they have a physiological reaction on those kind of places. They feel sweat, they feel anxious, they put themselves in fight and flight. While there are the people who are more extrovert, they are discharging bad energy and they are feeding their energy. They are charging themselves in their environment because that match their personalities. Who doesn't know a person who goes to a party and they have a great time and the next day they wake up, they are full and they are, thinking they need it, they enjoy. And that's why in the actual scenario that we are of lockdown is really, really hard for this kind of personality. I can tell for myself, I do miss people. I have very much a personality like that. You do like to be close to people. You re-energize yourself, be totally quiet for you. It's not only about the fact that you are lonely. No, you really lose your energy, but depend on your personality. So you take those two people together. And there are other aspects, not only these, there are many other aspects my master explained. I will go through all of these with you ahead and we can talk about, because it was an unbelievable conferences, days of conference, was really immersion in studies and everything else. And I want to have opportunity because I think he deserves all the credit. But unfortunately, he does all in Portuguese language. And if any Portuguese person who wants it, I'm more than happy to send, because he has all those courses and they really, really interesting, and they will open your mind and make you to know yourself better, make you know how your brain works, how the environment work on us, how dieting work on us, how exercise work on us, because all of these are connected. Our defect is to think, our problem is to think that all of those things operates on their own environment, and is not. Everything operates together. Feed your brain. If you are a person who have been trained to be in social environment, but you are an introvert, but if you are in the right dieting, feeding your brain with everything that will be better for your body, you will be building resistance and strength to deal with that situation much more than a person who is not. So if you are in a diet of anti-inflammatory diet or anything like that, you are building resistance. So back to the point is, so know when to give up and know when to persist is really, really important. It's a big decision, but it's starting on know yourself better. Okay, so I'm gonna read here because there are much more information on those two little pieces just for we start, and I made this resume for you because I can remember all straight to my brain, not at this time of the night, but anyway. So this doesn't mean you should never give up though, and obviously we need to persist with courage, with bravery towards what we wish for our life. Persistence is really important when you are after your own dream, but know when to give up is just as important. On giving up though, you must do it with intelligence, because if you are not capable to live a life that is making you stuck, if you don't give up or say no, you might end up frustrating in life for a long time. So that's really the point. Do not give up many times can frustrate in a worse way. If you are every single day, because one of the things that I've learned a long time ago, with many different masters, they say the same thing. What kills you, what makes you sick? A lot of people sick in life, they are sick because they are emotionally sick. Because they are permit the word offend them every day. They are offending themselves. Not even that the word is offending them. They are offending themselves every single day, because what kills you is not the biggest events of your life. Funnily enough, if you think, we all, you know why? Because in general, we all born and we know that we all gonna die. This is the law. So what happened? In the worst case scenarios, when something happened in our life that changed our life completely, normally the worst case scenarios always involve someone who passed away. But our brain always, so we have that big shock, that person passed away, and funnily enough, our brain is so clever, is really clever in a way that if past, I think I mentioned the last video, not sure, anyway, our brain is so clever that if people passed away during a tragedy, that if it's a tragedy, we tend to be shocked for a long time. I mean, we tend to be shocked, not for a long time, we tend to be shocked, okay? We tend to not let go from the night to the day because it was suddenly. So it's almost like you need more time, but at the end you don't. But once you need that time that you need for, oh yes, past that time, gone, that's it. You will miss that person, but that event will be overcoming. You will overcome that event in your life. Like, in opposed to that case that I said, that if you have someone which is an elderly person in your life and you see that the person is getting elder, she's losing the memory and then is losing movement and then goes to the hospital, goes to the hospice, and then at the end, many people are saying, you can go, you can go, you can die now, you have left, you know, you live a great life, because we participate on that process of degradation physically and mentally. We were close and we see how rehabilitation, that states of rehabilitation, human rehabilitation of every day, so gave us time to, you know, we would used to sit out and we say, you know what, yeah, it's best let go, because we're taking our energy every single day a little bit, in a way that we think, if I am losing all of those energy, that's that person as well, because is letting go. So at the end, it's the same when it's someone in the hospital every day with cancer or anything like that, or any disease that you are seeing that the person is deteriorating every single day. At the end, you are saying, you know, what's for her best, because you participate on those processes. It's the same thing. Back to the point, every single thing in this world is energy, and we work with energy. Energy on us is limited. We don't have unlimited energy. As everything else in this world, we battery, but we are limited. Okay, so that's why it's very important to know how much energy do you have to dispose. And apart from there is how do you want to dispose your energy? Because focus is an energy required by your attention. So if you are not willing and able to give up on your life, on some of the things that you are trying to drag with you, but it is not giving you results, if you are not capable to say no, you will be carry on spending energy, distracting your focus, distracting your mind, your attention, spending energy with something other than putting something else that could build on you a better life. And this is for everything. It's for your relationship. If you carry on spending your attention, your time with bad people, with people who really take your energy, people who is not, because it's like, you know, it's like a magnet. Some people push you ahead, some other people, you know, pull you behind. And so where does this come all back to the same point that we start last in the last 2 days, and we want to carry on your responsibility to know yourself as much as you can, for you know how much energy you have, for you answer simple questions: where I want to spend my energy, what do I want it, who am I want to be in the future, where am I want to be in the future. Because like I said, everything is energy and attention as well. A little bit more reading and I'll get to carry on this. So it's a very hard choice. In one hand, you wanted to conquer and maintain what you with courage and commitment pursued. And in another, you need to be capable to abandon a life that you don't want it anymore. A life which is taking your energy, which is asking for attention, for you to give your attention on things that you definitely don't want it anymore. Sorry, I just want to... This is one of the biggest choices we can make in order to keep a balance in our life. pushing ourselves into making transformation in our lives, there is a massive demand into reinventing ourselves every day. As much as I said, like in this word, in this time, that's wrong, this word, in this time, nowadays, that's what I mean. This time, nowadays, every single day, the same as you listen, never give up, never give up, never give up. You're also gonna listen that you need to transform yourself. There is a demand of reinventing yourself, and that's how we're gonna go. We start the next theme of this conversation. So I spoke about the balance between knowing and keeping persistence towards what you wanted. But for you keep that persistent, you really need to know yourself and know what you wanted. What are your targets? Where are you going? If you don't have, these are the prime questions. If you don't have answers to this question, if you don't know where you're going, you go nowhere. You come off because you don't know where you're going. So you need to answer that question. Now, knowing where you going, where do you want, what do you want to achieve? Where do you want to be, or the person you want to be? Okay. And then you will understand that for follow this path, you obviously need persistence. It's not gonna happen from the night to the day. Remember the guys in the bottom of the cave walking towards the lights, and the first thing when they turned and they saw that door was open, not that door, that the entrance of the cave, because they were in a chain, weren't they? So they couldn't even turn their back and see that was an open, that was the light which comes inside the cave and project those shades for them. So they were in ignorance. The first thing when they turned, they saw, but that entrance of the cave was really far away from there. Was far away. They could see is small. The entrance is small. It's the same as when we are in a channel. As farther we are, the entrance we'll see is small. As you walk towards that, get bigger. But first thing when they look, their eyes hurt because of the light of the day. Okay, so they were in ignorance. When you see knowledge, when you get in touch of knowledge, of wisdom, first thing is you're gonna feel hurt. You may feel hurt on your beliefs. You may feel hurt, it's the same if you are, for example, in your personal life, if you always believe that someone was amazing and was like this and was like that, and suddenly you get that person saying things about you, or if you are caught people who you love with a different perspective of what you say, you thought that I loved that person and I thought that they loved me the same way, but suddenly I found out that her point of view of me was totally different. That will hurt because the truth hurt, and truth is subject. Don't like to, let me not talk about truth in this situation. I'm saying the truth in the sense of that fact which you were in front of you, when you turn from the dark, the ignorance, to something else, a new point of view, that will hurt because you need to deconstruct, you need to destroy a previous image that you had built it in your mind, the previous concept that you had built it before in relation to that person, for example. So it will hurt first, but then once you start to walk towards that door, also you'll find other obstacles. Other obstacles will come, and that's the same with the knowledge. When you start to know a little bit about yourself, you will many times within yourself, within other people, but within yourself, you will feel in that state like, I need some time to digest, to understand, to know how to deal. And it's really, really important you allow yourself to have that time digesting, but observing your feelings, observing the mechanisms that operates on you, observing exactly your emotional response. And because each one, for more that we can talk about and generalize some in few personalities, we can fit some people's in box of few different personalities, and then make smaller and fit those other people in another few little boxes in our society, in our community. Let's say there is a box that is yourself. There is a box which is only you. And that box, there is no other box like you in terms of individuals. You know, who are you as an individual? So you are a unique person. You play in the society, in the community, that level, you can be fit in a box too. And you can be fit in a box of personality as well, as we all born with certain elements which can be categorized in general in terms of personality. Like I previously gave the example of extrovert and introvert. My master gave a situation for think about that I found fantastic. He was trying to say that scientists, he said scientists know that personalities, you can recognize personalities in babies. And he gave a very curious sample. And he will say like this, for example, once your baby born, you know, babies, they have the reflex they are very sensitive on their reflex. So they answer very fast to any sounds, even if it's slowly and carefully close to the cot. Your baby is quite sensitive because they have those channels as a protection for themselves, very, very sensitive. So what happened? He said, the scientists can recognize, neuroscience already proved that you can recognize if a baby is an extrovert or an introvert since very, very early. If they lie in the cot and you have a big bang, or you play them, but a big bang, let's say, is best, this the example that he gave to us. If that baby looks towards the noise, that baby tends to be more extrovert. He has a personality of an extrovert. But if that baby looks away with fear from the noise, that baby will be a more introvert baby. So that baby will have some characteristics where he gonna charge in the quiet, in silence. He will be more introvert. He will be keeping himself much more for himself. And and there are some other tests that can be done for you, recognize those personalities. And once you grow, and not only this personality but other things, once you growing and you know yourself and you know those mechanisms which comes within you already, and you make choices that will make this personality play easily in the environment, that helps you, to make a better choice. If I know that I'm a more social being and I like to be in contact with people, professions which put me in contact with people in the everyday basis will be much better for myself, because they will be recharging myself. There are please, let's understand this. There are all the elements and characteristics that will be putting all together. Um, he spoke to us some of those, but talking to one of my clients who is a scientist as well, she was saying to me, I think that is about 16 types of personality. He mentioned only few in the courses, but he said himself, because that's the time that if you want to go deeper, then you need to start to study. But in this introvert and extrovert are part with all the types of personalities, with all the elements, and those elements can play in your helping you, or they can play sabotaging you. And therefore, if you recognize them with you, like he was talk about personality of people who are perfectionists, for example, that this we tend to think like, oh, perfection is really good because everything will be done so properly and this and that. But we know that if you are a perfectionist, you will need to work out yourself within yourself, because perfectionists can sabotage you in doing other things in your life. Why? Because you will waste so much time trying to put ideas into actions that actually you will spend much more time to transform ideas into actions, because you're never gonna think that the idea is good enough. So therefore, you need to, knowing you have that characteristic, you will need to work out with your perfectionism and recognize that on you and say, yeah, I know why I need to review these and these and these, and while it's not good enough, I'm not letting go. It's my personality of perfectionist trying to stop me here. I'm overthinking this. So it's time to either look for someone which has an opposed personality, which will be more an impulsive personality, because that's another one, and mind that discussing that with that person, it could help you if you can't help yourself, because many times you can just work out this within yourself and say, right, I have some mistakes here, but I'm perfectionist, and it's time to put this into place and work this project out, or whatever you're doing. Okay, or with other people, that if you tend to think that nothing is good enough for you, someone is doing your work, you got to be more calm and do some other exercise and try to improve this within yourself. But is a good thing, because as I gave those two samples, you already know that, yeah, maybe when you put those people to work together, things could either work better, or could, when you find someone that you and somebody else can, when you find that someone in the same environment can really work together, it's because they are playing, there are different mechanisms within their personality who are and they play in different levels, really. It's almost like that. But why, or the point, why is it important you to know that? And it's good you to know that, because it's quite almost an exercise of tolerance, isn't it? While we are in the bottom of the cave in ignorance, and we don't know all of these stuffs that I'm talking about, you can't see with a different eyes. You just blame people, and you see that they just annoying. They just doing things to make you delay the work that you're doing. That you don't understand some attitudes, and I must say for myself, I wouldn't understand an attitude of if he's a perfectionist working with me, and I am, I don't know, let's say if I'm a more impulsive and I want things done for now. And let's do it. For example, for an advertise a thing and you project and you need to put the advert and you have more impulsive. You're not gonna wants to waste your time with every single detail, every single color, every single position of whatever you need to make and put on the paper. No, you want for tomorrow and publish and this and that, and the other person will try to hold you back a little bit. So when you know aspects, not only those but many aspects, and also in a relationship, recognize this is quite important, because give you tolerance. You start to see it's not actually her guilty being like this. She born like this. It's her personality, and your approach is different. You approach with the approach of that teacher that I said to you in the last speech. With the teacher that has more patience with the student, because understand that each student has got their own time to learn that lessons, which doesn't mean that that student will be behind the class always, because in other aspects of the life, taking a position of perfectionist, if you are perfectionist and you are engineer, an architect, or things like that, you might be an excellent profession. So it recognizes those mechanisms who comes within your personality and match with your choices. And if you can see this before you make your choices, you would make choices more consciousness. Okay, conscious choices. So I was talking, right, pushing yourself into making transformation in our lives. There is a massive demand to reinventing yourself. That means become somebody else. So reinvent yourself. The implication of reinvent yourself is becoming somebody else. And this is another conversation as well. Like I said, there is this demand nowadays. You should always change, transform yourself, change your hair, change your clothes, change who you are from time to time. Your places need to be changing, and because the world is changing. And only few people really stop to think about what this kind of reinventing yourself means. When you say, everyone wants to reinventing themselves, but this could cause many problems. And maybe the biggest problems is in your relationship with partners, and your relationship with your friends, and your relationship with your friends. Because from that perspective, when we start to listen, people say, but you change it, and I miss that person that you were. Whatever. You change it. You were not like that. In fact, we are all changing all the time. Wanted to reinvent yourself by choice or not? We all change. After 3 years, 2 years, we never ever the same person, because we are in a certain level really the results of experience and everything which plays around and happen to us. So is ignorance, you say, but you change, especially if you are with that person for some time. Obviously, even the person who said, but you change, already changed it many times during a relationship of, relationship in general, friendship, or even the family members. Because we are answering to the stimulus of our lives, the external stimulus, all the time. So we are constantly changed. Every single thing in this world is changed. Even the stones are changed. So there is no room for you come to someone and say, but you change. We all change. The universe is changed. The political world is changed. The economy is changed. How come you not expect that you're going to change yourself? But reinvent yourself is something different. We all suffering transformations. Transformations that are coming so slow that we see the change in everything else around us, but we don't see that we are changed. Now, even yourselves are the same. We all getting old. We all getting different. And if every single thing on you, even yourselves are becoming different, your speed is different. Your voice change, your voice get older with you, and your eyes is changed. How can you wonder and ask for somebody? Oh, but you used to be, your circumstances change. So it's ignorance when someone, oh, but you change. Of course, we all changing, but reinvent yourselves comes by choice, and is an immense change from the night to the day, let's say. So it's a choice to change. And when you change from the night to the day, you got to have some strategies. You have to have a certain level of strategy, and you have to have decision strategies and commitments, discipline. Okay, so when you want to reinvent yourself, you need to take those elements for you can reinvent yourself, and you need to know where do you want it to be, or which person do you want it to transform yourself in, for you be able to do that in the best possible way. Okay, so changes are transformations where the final product is not the same that was in the beginning. And this is the thing, we all want to reinvent ourselves, but when you ask, you need to have this in mind. For you reinvent yourself, you need to kill your old one, your old version, in order to become a new version. And a lot of people are not ready for this, because that new person that you wanted to be, and one of the exercises that you can do to reinvent yourself, that can be a good support to reinvent yourself, is really what we call the mirror exercise. Is you thinking of someone who you really need to be. How does the person behave? How do they talk? How do they see the world? What do they do? And this is the best ways, it's the best inspiration that we have. You really mimic that for sometimes, but when I say mimic, is not only, this is what happened to the teenagers, this is what happened to the fashion world, isn't it? The only thing, and even when they mimic, our response, if you are not in fashion, if you are not in, let's say, if you're out and observing them being like that, you will be judging them and say, oh yeah, but they dress, look, that one is, I can see Angelina Jolie there, I can see Jolo there, I can see Beyonce there. So you can see this in the new generation, and many times you can't see the ideas, because we play more with image in that sense. But with ideas is exactly the same. With actions is exactly the same. If you wanted in action be able to do something someone else is doing, you can start by mimic, because that's the first sense of inspiration. Okay, you are trying to transform yourself as close as you can on somebody that is inspiring you. But this is only for the beginning, because remember, you got to recognize and know yourself very, very well, because only for more you can be inspired by those people. For more, this is one exercise. It's not for you think that you are then and get like a there is a name for this. It's like a confusion of identities when you go so deep into that you can really separate yourself on that identity of someone who should be only and just only inspire you until you get into that path. But you should preserve yourself as you are, because we're unique and you need to play with your personality, the qualities that you have, the talents that you have, but always moving forwards rather than backwards. Okay? So in the beginning, we were in one way. If you want to reinvent yourself, the product of this reinvention will be a new product. So you can't reinvent yourself and expect that the world outside you will not be judging you, will not be inquire you about that. This is open your eyes, say, right, I wanted to change. It's the same when you change your diet. If you get 20 kilograms slimmer, your social life will be changed, because you're not going to be going the same places anymore for food. Your friendships change. Your relationship change. Your family relationship towards you change. So it's a very good point for any transformation you want to do in your life. You got to understand that at some point, someone will come to you and will say, but you change. And that you will attract new people into your life, but you will be putting away old people into your life. And if you understand that, that's a big, big thing in philosophy, because this is understand how the environment play. This is telling you that the responsibility is all on your hands. When you start your transformation, you will see that the world will change. In fact, use not the word, because that's the problem. We educate in a society that we always tend to think that something wrong out there. It's nothing wrong out there. What happened is you are in action. When you put yourself in action, when you put yourself into such a deep transformation, the world will answer to you, because you will be in action. You are sending that energy, you are rotating, you are making change, making transformation. In fact, the world are just giving you the feedback. But the stimulus is all yours, the responsibility is all yours. And this is another thing that make us understand that only you are in charge and how important your choices are. And then you start to find that weird, why people are not calling me anymore? Why those people that are those difference of personalities playing? You are changing the way that you connect to people. It's not everyone. If it was those people who is still overweight, they will feel, it's not, it's almost, it could be in a very rough way to say feel offended, but it's not that is. It's just because you playing such a level of commitment, of discipline, and many people, we still wanted to be in that comfort zone. It's not bad in a way. It's a choice. Everything in this world is a choice. You can't judge, but you gotta be ready and conscious for your transformation. Go ahead without anything pulling you behind, dragging you. For you make lighter, you got to accept this. If we would be able to, before we put ourselves in a diet, before we put ourselves in a training, before we put ourselves in a discipline routine, or in a study, or in anything which will require your full focus, your full attention, to put your energy and transform yourself, if you know in advance that your environment, your friendship, your family, everything gonna change, would make your path, your trajectory, much easier, because you would be prepared. Then you also gonna close your eyes for other kind of distractions, instead of you are walking the path and you start to wonder what's going on, what happened, why everyone disappeared, because this can be a distraction. Everything is a distraction in this world. In many times a distraction. This word is trying to distract yourself to know who you are. It's trying to distract yourself to know how much from you, to recognize how much you reconnect with everything else. And the biggest distraction is we auto-sabotage ourselves all the time. All the time, even on your inspirations. Many times, like they said, trust your inspiration. You should really, because we are playing inside. Our brain is much more clever. We've got 3 people inside us having a constant conversation, discussions between themselves, in a way that we are just up here looking down. Those people having that discussion. It's crazy, but it's what happened. It's how your brain works. You are and observe yourself. It's almost like someone in the past, there was the angel and the demon. There's no angel and demon. You've got your own philosophers. Talk and discuss. One will say, oh yeah, I could do this and develop this idea. And the other one said, but you know what? This is needing. We are so perfect that this is needing, because is like is to stop. We work in a level of surviving. We made to survive above all. So any idea which comes from whatever it comes, the ideas. So any idea which comes and involve, and all of them were involved, the spend of energy. That mechanism, the auto let's say the auto switch, will come and say, no, you don't do that. You know why? It's the same. When you come with the idea, I'm going to start a diet. So next day you come and say, well, I'm going to start eating, rather than eat bread or eat my cereal, I'm going to eat an apple. So that person will come in your brain and say, but listen, you can't eat an apple. In 2 hours you will be starving. You gotta eat a little bit more. That is the auto-sabotage system. But why this need to be? And this is very human. We are the only people in the world that will know it does this. But the animal does instantaneous. They don't have that, rationality to stop them, to choose. They don't have the choose. They live in connection with their instincts. But why is this happening? The other one is coming to convince that you should eat something else, because that one knows that you need energy. And if you will have only apple or only banana, that at the end you will be run out of energy. So he needs to come and convince you that you need to do a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. But I'm going to go through this dieting stuff with you, because I've got at least the 5 or even more big gurus who talk about those systems and how does that happen in your brain, how does that happen in connection with your environment, how you operate, and how you can stop those voices on your head and knowing yourself, for you can get yourself in a better give yourself a better beginning and make very conscious choices which are not gonna sabotage any of your dieting, but instead will rebuild yourself to carry on in that path for a long time, but not for today. So for you to become a new person, you need to be the person you are. You need to lose the person you are now. And same people don't really realize that change implicating bringing the new and say goodbye to the old. And that's the reality. So if you want to change, just for absolutely anything, change your diet, change your routine, that will involve you to kill the old one and become a new person. Okay. Which things do you need for? Which things do you need to abandon to become the person you like? That's the question you need to be asking yourself. So what do you need to abandon to be in order to be the person you like? For you to accelerate your personal and professional development, which person do you need to abandon in order to do this? For you accelerate, for you speed up your personal development, your professional development, and have the life you wanted. We need to be able to abandon a life that we don't want anymore. Otherwise, that will become, otherwise we're just gonna drag these chains and those gonna pull you behind. So I did speak, we can't progress in life if we can't say no. At the end, that's the whole point. Give up is the ability that you need to develop within yourself. You need to have the capacity to say no. You need to be selfish enough, to be very honest. And there is no negotiation on this. It's prioritize yourself. Prioritize yourself. Say no for what you don't want it. And a lot of us freak out to say no. And many times, one of the mechanisms of our auto-sabotage is exactly the fact that you don't say no because you don't want to say no because of other people. To satisfy other people. There is no charity on there. There is no charity on that. There are some situations that it can put you in that place, but you should be priority always. You should be priority always. There are a few little and special cases and occasions that you will say yes to satisfy other people, but that you need to, as much as you know yourself, you will go into those situations knowing exactly how much energy and operating the economic energy level. You go inside. That's the point we wanted to get, is you get into that situation where you can't say no. For example, and that's now you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. Who never? Christmas dinner, who never were where they don't want to be. Many times we are having dinner with people that we don't want to be. We are doing things for the people that we don't want to do. We are talking and saying hello and smiling and having in a companionship of people that doesn't represent nothing for us, that we're not happy with, that we don't feel well. not even to sit beside. And we're doing that. These all are auto-sabotage. We do all of this as society in order to live well, create all of this. But in fact, you don't have to break any law to respect yourself. You don't have to be an unpleasurable person to respect yourself. But you can still respect yourself in saying no for certain occasions, for certain people, for occasions that you know that will take from you so much, because nothing takes more energy than you be where you don't want to be, with people that you don't want to be. People suck each other's people's energy all the time, because they don't come only with that presence, but they come with that situations, with that conversation. Many times is that situation. Who never? I tend to say sometimes when I have sessions that I have, sometimes I have sessions with my clients in massage that they are in such a level of stress, and sometimes they will open themselves up. And I tend to give a sample like this. Many times you wake up, you're happy in the morning, you're so happy and you have all that energy, and you go to work. As soon as you close your door and you walk down the street, you see a neighbor, okay? You see that neighbor, many times you already know, because if happens that if it's the neighbor that let's say if it's someone that is really, really negative, okay? Honestly, it's not my case at all, because I love all my neighbors and they all happy, and I'm very happy about that. But please, I am just trying to give an example. For example, if you leave and you know that someone will stop you and complain about everything in the life. So they start, oh, I lost my daughter, and my dog is doing this and that, and it could be a neighbor, could be a friend, could be anyone. That personality that you know that if you are in a great day, you don't want to meet, because you think, oh, that person gonna finish with the rest of my day. And many times it does finish. That person which make you pretend, and when she said your name and you say, oh my God, now I need to stop. And she will tell their life situations. And when you finish that conversation, you are tired. And off she goes. And you can't feel that energy. You left the house anymore. So, yeah, avoid is the best thing, really. Avoid is the best. Otherwise, it's really consciousness. Consciousness is fantastic. If you know yourself, you know that those mechanisms operate on you. There are ways that you can defend yourself of those situations. And know that those situations can happen. Know that some people really operate in that level. They will be feeding them on you. Then you can defend yourself. Just because you know, only the fact that you know. Even if you want to go ahead, what are you gonna do? How do you defend yourself? As soon as the person say, oh, hello, how are you? I'm very well, thank you very much. I would love to spend time and talk to you, but I really need to go now because I'm already late. That's it. The max that person gonna say, oh, she was so rude, didn't even let me talk. That's it. We do need to have the capacity to say no, because no, many times, it will mean in your life, allow yourself to free yourself of those situations who will take energy that you should be and want it to be putting somewhere else for your own progress, for achieve your dreams, for, you know, for your everyday life, etc. So say no is really, really, really important. Okay. The capacity to say no is a very big skill, and that's important, as I put it here, as a very big skill. Why? Because it's really a skill. It's something that you can train yourself to learn, to say, to do. Okay. Focus is the energy invested in a task. So always is energy, and in this case is the amount of energy that you want to put in a specific task, or to get your target, onto your target, to realize your dream. So therefore energy is limited. As my master like to say, to give an example, the neuroscientist, which I follow, his given an example which is fantastic. He said, imagine you've got your phone, your tablet, and the TV, and a radio on. So you've got all of those things. If you've got 5 things on, can you concentrate, and you wanted to concentrate in one? Can you do that really? You've got a lot. I had to hear the music and I had to stop. And he will explain that this is not this starts in your brain, because his neuroscience, he said, there is a mechanism that operates in our brain called the gamba, who knows? Right down there. Gamba, whatever. Anyway, gamba or whatever. What it does inside our brain is, when we wanted to have concentration in only one thing, those neurons around, they switch off. They operate in a, it's not switch off, they operate in a slow motion, that they operate, you know, in a with less energy, because they are sending the message for the ones that need to be paying attention, to keep our focus works best. So they will switch off some mechanisms, neuromechanisms in our brain, in order to keep all of those who needs to concentrate. If it's your eyes, if it's your voices, they will, for only those that we needed at the moment, works in full. So he was saying, and that makes totally sense, your brain does this. What makes you think that you shouldn't? We operate exactly the same. If you wanted to concentrate in learn something, in do something, less going on is best. Is saving energy. Your brain saves energy for keep your concentration going on. Other things want to operate with so much efficiency, because you are trying to keep your attention in what is priority, and we should be doing the same. So make your choices, your priorities. Say no for anything else, because as I said, this whole world is full of distraction. Everything will want your attention at the same time. So it's very important, by knowing those informations, knowing that even your brain does this automatically inside your head. So you should be mimicking that thing and say, right, what is priority? What is requiring my attention now? What needs to be done? Where shall I really put my focus, and therefore having a little bit more of have persistence? And what do I need? Therefore, we go back to the principle, to the main thing. Therefore, what do I need to give up on in order to persist in the other path where I want to go? Okay, so focus is you say no until you finish one task. Attention is the attention is switched off from many things in the behalf of have enough attention for what is really important. Okay, so I did start saying about did I start saying about Sartre, the French philosopher, which said what is important is not what happens to us, but how we respond to what happened to us. And that's, a resume of everything. So Sartre said that, was a French philosopher, and at the end is it puts us back where we are. It gives us instructions for how we should deal with these choices that we have in things that we're trying to hold on and not let go, because we think that if we do, we're gonna be a loser. It's gonna make us a loser, or because could be any situation, a family member that you're trying to you have that, we have that thing. Obviously family is really important, but you gotta understand that we have many different personalities playing the same house, and many times are those people. And one of my master, and he is he's an ontologist and psychiatric, and he is the one that I've done the course in personal development and human relationships. And he will say that that many times, in order to us to proceed with some projects in our life, we will need even to keep distance of family members, because they are not operating in the same level. They will be, if it's a personality. And he used to give a sample of when he was doing his studies, and he had to be living apart and not even go to visit his mother for quite quite some time, because he was, in order to keep his full attention for his thesis defenses and whatever he was doing, because she operates in a different level of personality, with a different mechanisms of personality that wouldn't understand the way that he was, and and he was needing to keep that energy. So unfortunately, sometimes it's true. Sometimes what is pulling us behind is under our roof, but many times not. So overcome the idea of lucky, and this is a good one. Overcome the idea of lucky, bad lucky, and destiny, and replace it for decision, strategy, and work. Okay, so many people say, "Oh yeah, that isn't," but maybe it was just a sign, maybe it was destiny, maybe no. Decision, strategy, and work. The elements of persistence. We do not control all. We do not control much, and we can't control death. But between life and death, I do control many things. And that's the main message here. Is you understand that, yeah, you do not control all. You don't control when you're gonna die. We never know when we're gonna die. But in between the moment you're born and the moment you die, your choices, your decisions, you do control those. But for these, become conscious, know yourself, the mechanisms who could operating and making good decisions. Because even if a mechanism which is outside and inside you, they are different. They playing very different. There is exercise. There is all the things that you can do if you have to go through it many times, because we are social being. Even though if I was an introvert person and I need to keep myself more quiet, we are social being. I would need to be, but it's true that my choices where I spend most time of my life, my choices into work, I could choose professions who would put me in more isolation, harder than others that would expose to me much more into the society. But even though I will need to go out, I will need to talk to people, it's not because I'm quarantine introvert that I don't want to have no relationships at all. But you will try to match these, operate these, goes around this in the better way possible. And only the fact that you know and explain for the people who live with you, who share the time and the environment with you, is really, really important. If you say, right, I had a very difficult day today because I'm not a very social person, and I had to go somewhere where I had many people, and but now I'm just feeling really, really tired, and I need to just a little bit of peace and quiet. And so if you all could leave me, or it helps. And it does help in your relationship, especially in between partners as well. Because if you are an extrovert and that person is an introvert, concessions will need to be made for that relationship works. Because you will be feeding and being in a public, busy. If you, the extrovert, will be feeding on people, on social events, and the other one will be losing energy being in those kind of environment. That he will enjoy to be more in a very, very quiet restaurant, without many tables closed, more recluse, and you will lose energy in those kind of environment. You'll be feeling tedious, and that situation you'll be missing that thing. So when you put those two personalities to having a relationship, if both of them knows very well how they operate, there are the mechanisms that operates on them, of personalities, they can understand each other much better. And from time to time, one will need to be in one environment, the other one will need to be in another environment, and but it's much more understood harder than you have arguments thinking that oh, you never do anything with me because of this, because of that, and the other one, oh yeah, but and yeah, this is another conversation. It's quite a sensitive subject that I hope in the future, I hope we even get there, but it gives a room for a lot of talking. But anyway, so I said about the Greek philosophers, they believe that you should never blame the others for the life that you live, meaning that the life that you're living is entirely up to you. This idea is extremely tied with your capacity of saying no for the things that you want and don't want in your life. Example, be with persons you don't want to be, do things that you don't want to do. I said about that. A balance is needing, and we need to act. The life is very short to waste doing things you don't want to do or like, or spending time with people you don't want to spend, or for have the family that you don't want it. Ask yourself, what are you doing of your life? Conscious is the key of all transformation. And so I will end it here. Ask those questions. What you need to ask yourself those questions. What do I want? Who am I? Where am I going to? And where do I want it to be? What makes me happy? Time is anything we don't have from the moment we're born. It's the only thing, never ever come back. So it's not to be wasted. And with those words, I finished today this topic on the question of give up or persist and the things that we wanted to do. Remember that persist is good, have got some elements, okay? Decision, strategy, commitments. And giving up, when should you give up? When that is intelligent. You should always give up when the one situation puts you in a worse place. One situation is holding you back on progress as a human being. It doesn't matter if it's professional progress, but especially personal progress. If a situation is little, but is every single day uncomfortable, because what hurts us, what pulls us behind, as I started to say, and I don't think I finished, is not the biggest events of our life. It's the small little things that happens every single day. Every single day, one little thing which happens persistently every single day is one thing that at the end may make us give up of some people, choices, jobs, is that little thing, but is uncomfortable every single day. But at the end, makes a lot of difference. Okay? So, if a situation that you consider to give up is taking your dignity, is taking your energy, is taking your time, is avoiding your progress. This is what we call an intelligent, giving up in an intelligent way. Otherwise, persist. But even for you persist in the past, you need to know where you are going. Okay? And understand these last questions that I put here, and that probably will be the next topic. Time. I will do my best to be the next topic, but I know that time takes time to discuss. There's a very long one. If I can't prepare that one, who knows? Then I leave for the future, but I will see if I can prepare that, because it's a fantastic thing to talk about. So time is the only, is anything we don't have from the moment we're born. Is the only thing never come back. So it's not to be wasted. And you should think about that. Thank you very much, and I see you.